Hey, Will King here from Cotton Homes, and today on the Build Show, we're doing something a little abnormal from what we normally do. We're actually standing in the yard of Nate's house. So Nate, if you don't know, is one of our project managers that started with us a little over a year ago. And my goodness, what happened to this house, man.
We had a little storm come through.
I'd say a little bit,
yeah,
just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So Nate and I were actually in Rhode Island when this happened at JLC Live. And Nate got a terrible phone call. Was that Friday night?
Yep.
Friday night. His wife was home when this terrible storm blew through and ripped up our city. And I mean, tell me about, I guess I was asleep when she called you, but I mean.
I was working on it. I was trying to be asleep, but that didn't last long. And she was scared to death, obviously.
Yeah. And she was awake, filming, right?
Yeah,
she had her phone out.
She actually has a video of the trees falling, yep. And then from there, had some people come over, check on her, and then I hopped on the first flight home.
And you're in Rhode Island. You can't get here to save
18 hours
the day.
away.
But thank goodness, y'all's bedroom was in the back, and then this was like the living room area that took the brunt, I would say, of the hit. So gosh, I'm so thankful she was not in the living room. And her poor car is totaled, right? State Farm has declared it a goner. So Abagnale gets a new car. But I think that looking at this house, I mean, what else besides the car, obviously, I mean, content-wise, has it been just, have y'all found a ton of things that that you've lost, or? Not
really, not as much water damage as I was expecting, so we got lucky in that aspect.
And luckily you were doing a little bit of a remodel already, so I would say this is going to expedite that. Yeah, so now a lot of the things you had already pulled out, which I guess is a little bit helpful now, but it's wild. This is your living room here.
Yep.
I was looking just a second ago, and we can walk over there and look, but I guess thinking about what this was a new house, that's what comes to my mind looking at it. Like, how would it have fared in the event of an event like this? And I think that, honestly, I think it'd been a lot worse.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the brick holding this big tree up, but I can't help but think it's that true 3/4 sheathing that these old houses had, ran on diagonals across all the studs. And it's wild, that exterior wall that you're seeing on the far side, just how much weight is sitting on that wall and it hadn't fallen down yet. I also noticed too that I think we're gonna have opportunity to improve some things, Nate, on your house.
I think so, yeah.
All right, so now we're over on the side of this house, taking a little bit different look down. I guess this would be the north side of the house, but Nate, what year was this house built?
It was built in 1940, so.
Did you build it?
I didn't, no, not quite.
I didn't think so. Yeah, it's amazing. It's about 2,000 square feet, roughly, something like that. It's a story and a half, has a basement on half the house. But I actually pulled some of this out. I thought it'd be cool to talk about this. So this is actually the sheathing. So instead of like a normal 7/16 commodity OSB or even a better product like Zip System that we use, it's wild that they use this much. I'm gonna call it oak. It looks like oak. It's definitely a hardwood. That they use that much hardwood when they built houses back then. And obviously it's strong.
Yeah.
I mean, look how much weight is sitting there on top of that wall. I'm actually really excited to see the crane take this tree off. That's gonna be a wild situation. But you know, the other thing too, we talk about exterior walls and WRBs. That's been a topic in our industry for the last, I don't know, 10 years. We've all been talking about weather resistant barriers. You know, back in the day, back in 1940, they didn't have products like Zip System. They didn't have peel and sticks. They didn't have fluid applied membranes like we're doing now. They had tar paper, and this is it. So this is a good 1940s model. And it, honestly, other than the part that's been ripped by this tree, I climbed over there a minute ago, I was pulling on it. It's held up very well. I mean, it's still intact. I mean, what has it been? I mean, we're 80 years old at this point, and I mean, it's still very, very durable. And overall, it's done a good job of keeping moisture out of your house. Now we can look in a minute when we go inside at the back side of the sheathing. It's always fun to look at it, but it looks like it did the day they installed it. I mean, it looks just as good as the back side. The back and the front look identical, but there's also no cavity insulation.
No insulation.
And so if water gets, the beauty of no insulation is that there's nowhere for water to sit. And so if it ever did get wet, it obviously dried out very well too. So that's something that it's just interesting to look. I mean, They may not have the best products, but they definitely made the best of what they did have. And obviously, this house, other than the tree that's on it, is in really good shape. And the part that's going to be wild to see is when we talk about rebuilding it, is that we obviously want to make it very weather and airtight, or water and airtight, just like we do on our new houses. But there's a challenge on this house now because there's brick all over the place. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what insurance says if we can take all the brick off or not, and if they're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
And so, if they can't, we're going to have to get creative on the inside with our weather and air barrier. So, let's take a look in there if you don't care.
Gotcha.
All right, so we've moved inside of Nate's house, and we're standing like in his dining room right now. And Nate, I think you've got some new decoration in your dining room.
We've really been thinking about keeping it. I like it.
Some nice log art. So, as you've looked around the last, 48 hours and just painfully waiting on insurance, what other damage have you found besides the obvious on the outside?
Well, I guess my biggest concern was structure of the house, and so I noticed that this brick here was shifted. There's still a lot of tension on that, so it's obviously the front part of this house.
And I know that wasn't broke.
No.
What, 2 weeks ago? Because when I was over here when they framed it, and I mean, that's wild because it busted it loose, but it's also there's no movement to it now, so it's tightened up. So, I mean, there's just a ton. There's obviously a lot of weight pushing down from that tree. How about down here? What else have you?
Well, the subfloor here seems to be bowed a pretty good bit.
It's down.
Yeah.
That's like 3/4 of an inch probably from what it should be.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be, I don't know, some broken joists. It looks like there's probably one running right beside it. I'll be curious if this one's broken. I can see the nails going towards your front door. So you probably got another joist sitting about right here. I wonder if this has put so much weight on it, if it may have broke that joist in half, or maybe even a pier. That'd be wild if it broke a pier, but it definitely could have. It's interesting to see the back side of the sheathing, just how, I mean, it looks brand new to me, and it's been here, like we said a minute ago, 60 years, 80 years. But, you know, if we can't take the brick off your house, we're going to have to figure out how to get an air barrier on the inside. And probably the easiest way is going to be to pull this sheetrock off all your exterior walls and do like a flash and bat. So maybe go back with some closed cell foam and maybe all foam. We'll have to talk to our insulators and figure out what's going to be best. But that's going to be the only way as we put it back together to really improve it. But how about your attic? Now, you didn't have foam there.
No foam in the attic, so.
That's all just blown cellulose I'm seeing. And
it went everywhere when the tree landed, so.
Yeah. So maybe when we go back, we can put spray foam all over the entire roof deck and encapsulate it. And then that way your Abba's Christmas tree will not be melting in the summertime.
That's right.
I think you should be happy with that. So, you know, nothing else, seeing damage like this makes me think, like, when you have oak trees in your yard, not oak trees, but just big trees, like, man, should we keep them or should we not? You got me thinking, there's a big one right beside my living room. And you would say, cut them, huh?
Take it down.
Yeah, because it wasn't the wind that destroyed your house. It was literally just the oak trees. The whole root balls and all just came over on top of your house. So, well, guys, today's video is a lot different than normal, but I hope you learned a little bit and at least found it interesting. And just remember, iron sharpens iron, so keep grinding, keep watching these videos, and we'll see you right here on The Build Show.